Hey, how's it going? Ezekiel the Barber back with another video for you guys. Today I have a clipper that I was having trouble with. Just wanted to show you all how I attempted to repair this clipper. So basically I was getting a lot of smoke from the engine. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I think that engine is done. So the engine sits right in the front, which I think is really where the problem's at. So the tools that I use for this job is a Phillips head screwdriver and a soldering gun or a soldering iron. Right. So I decided to order a motor off of Amazon to try to see if that could maybe fix the issue. So I found a really cheap motor just to see if it'll, fix it. I think this one's pretty much done. So I found a motor for about $12. Decided to order that. So this is pretty much the inside compartment of the clipper. So the Wahl cordless clipper, and they all pretty much look the same. Come with this piece, and it goes right on top of the motor. And then the other issue that I had with this clipper is that the on and off switch just stopped working. So over time, the more that you use it, it'll just kind of wear out. So I didn't know if there was a piece out there. I decided to look for that as well. I found that on Amazon. I think that was about $10 to $14, something like that. So I grabbed both of these pieces for about no more than $30. So this is the inside compartment of my clipper that's working. This is the 100th anniversary Wahl cordless clipper. So everything pretty much looks the same. I do like the on and off switch in this one better than all the other ones. So that's pretty much the only difference that I see is the on and off switch. But all the other compartments pretty much look the same. So I kind of use this as a diagram to keep track so I won't get lost. All right, so we won't do too much with that, but that's basically the way it looks on the inside in case I get lost. So, all right, so we have the power switch connecting the black and the red wire. They're positive and negative. So we'll just go ahead and put everything back here, see how everything is. The problem with the clipper is I think that when they designed it, they put the engine in front. And a lot of times when you use like Cool Care or any type of liquid, it's real easy to kind of get in that motor and kill it out, which is different from the corded version, which the engine actually sits a lot further back. So this is the motor that I found on Amazon. You always have to use caution with this. I'm using gloves so that I don't kill the engine by any electric current or anything that I may have on my body, which can definitely destroy it before we even get a chance to use it. So you always want to use gloves. So that's what I decided to do here. And then the other piece that I decided to put on, I told you that the on and off switch was broken. So I decided to order a new one. So I'll also be installing that. So the pieces that I found on Amazon, this is kind of what that came with. It sits on top of the motor, which is cool because I am replacing that. And then we have the on and off switch. And then it comes also with the lever, even though I probably won't use the lever right now unless, later down the line it strips out. So it'd be good to kind of keep that around. But for now, we'll just install the switch and the motor and see if I can get this clipper back working. So that's basically what I had to do. Here's the motor. Right. And once again, I think the issue was from the design of the engine being right there in the front compartment, and I do use Cool Care. Hair does get stuck in there in the front quite a bit, right behind the blade, so everything's really compact. So that's why I like to use kind of like an air duster, portable air compressor, or just an air compressor in general to kind of keep that hair out of there. So now you basically see that we just have the skeleton of the clipper, everything's out. So I decided to get a soldering iron and a Phillips head screwdriver, and then see if I can just kind of fix it on my own. So I'm already past the warranty, so I decided to kind of just clean things out a little bit. Here you see me using a brush. Alright, then we'll just get the remaining hair out with this air compressor. And just wipe it down a little bit. So, boom, looks pretty clean right there. So looks like we'll go ahead and see if we can use the soldering iron to take the motor off of the cords. So I'll kind of demonstrate that now. So instead of cutting or doing anything crazy, I just wanted to just heat that sod up a little bit and see if I can just pull the wires right on out. So it was my first time doing the job, really didn't know what to expect, not really an electrician or anything, but I do have a understanding of how things work. So. Oh, there it is there, perfect. So we'll see if we can do that same thing with the other side, kind of worked as it did in my mind. Okay, so that seemed pretty easy. We'll put that back in the safe spot. All right, so now that we have that disconnected, that's the positive. The red is always positive, black is always negative. So on the engine, I believe it does display that information as well so that you won't get lost. So once again, always want to use gloves so that you don't have any electric current that kills the engine before you even get a chance to try it out. Just open this. All right, so everything looks pretty similar. There you see the red dot for the indicating the positive side. All right, so everything looks pretty identical, pretty close and similar. All right, so we'll just see if we can actually solder these wires back on. And see if we can reinstall everything. All right, so there's the red wire on the side where the red indicator is. So we'll just go ahead and do that first. Soldering iron. See if we can get a little closer for you guys to see what I'm doing here. All right, so here we go. Just want to put a little bit on there to keep the connection solid. That's what you're looking for, is just to get a good solid connection where it's on there pretty good. Oops. Uh-oh. Oop. Release it that way. Perfect. Just smooth it out a little bit. All right, so that looks pretty good. It actually dries pretty fast, so looks like it's holding pretty good. Iron back. All right, so it looks like that has a pretty good hold. I'd say it's safe to go on to the next one. So always disconnect the battery from the motherboard. This is the negative. which connects to the motherboard. So we'll see if we can get that on. Situated first. Get that on there. Right. So that's kind of how I have it sitting in there. And then I'll see if I can place a little slot kind of right on that wire and the connector. More on there and actually see if some can stick to it. Sometimes it won't stick. Just look at things a little bit. Well, it doesn't look too bad. Let's see if we can just smooth it out a little better. Move that around. All right. Let's try that. See how everything's looking here. Alright, so this is the old motor. This is the new one. We'll just go ahead and see if we can get that in there. Now there's a little slot that the end of that little needle sits in. You just want to push it in there. That's pretty much how it sat in there with the red wire on the left. So this is the actual connector, the on and off switch. So I'll kind of demonstrate how to put that in there and how that works. Now, this particular switch, I do notice that over time it does get real flimsy and you just have to replace it. Basically sits on there. Let's see if I can get that on there. Alright, cool. Yeah, so it basically sits on there like that. I'll just demonstrate that for you. Push it right in there. And then just, this is how it works. There'll be a screw that goes here on the positive. And that's the connector. So, once again, just let me open up and just to keep track and make sure that everything's going smooth and looks the way it's supposed to. So that's what we have there. Okay. So I'll end up putting the new one that I got back on instead of the old one. Slide that little thing under there. lot more gentle than that. Pretty good there. Alright, so that's basically how that goes back on. There's one more piece that goes under that. There it is there. So we'll grab that. Stick it under there. There it is. So we'll place the 3 screws back in. Those 3 screws back in place. There were 3 screws that I initially took off. There it is. So it's a fairly quick process, just 3 screws to put back in there, which locks that motor in there. So reassembling the broken parts that I had, which was the switch and the motor. So there's a slot that the motherboard sits in. Once again, you always want to disconnect the battery from the motherboard before you do any work. So that's why you don't see it connected. I'll show you where to connect that in just a bit. For now, we just want to slide that motherboard right into these slots right here. If I can ever get it in there. All right, so there's 2 screws for the on and off switch that connect the 2 power cords. I'll kind of show you that right now. So 1 screw, you need to zoom in there. Hard to get. Alright, so once I have it on there, I just want to twist it on in place right there. Alright, so that's in. On that side, we just have to connect the other side. And that's how the current goes through the connector. So I kind of like this on and off switch, the way it's built better, but some clippers just have the other one, which is a lot more flimsy, I noticed. So maybe they should just go to the one on the 100th anniversary Wahl clippers. Definitely a lot more solid on and off switch. Very good clipper. All right, so we'll just put that back. These 3 screws in here. And it's really good to keep these clippers cleaned I've done previous videos on how to just use your air duster or some type of air blower to get all the hair and stuff out of there, and that's basically what I like to do to keep my clippers free of hair and debris, other than dipping them in like dip blade washes and what have you. Alright, so the motherboard's in there, the on and off switch is there, we just have one more screw to put in, the motor is in, so then we basically just have the battery to put in. So this is where the battery connects, there's a slot, and it just connects pretty much just like that. You'll just slide it right into those slots. Do that here. So you see the little grooves, and it fits right into the groove. And then I angled it just like that. Put the battery back in. Boom. Okay, so we have the battery, the motherboard, the motor. We'll put that back in there. And then we have one more screw that basically I need to assemble right there. So we'll go ahead and put that in. See how things are going from there. I definitely like this clipper, really enjoyed it. Before I knew how it operated or how it was designed, I would just use it like other clippers. So for instance, the corded version, you can certainly use blade wash and dip the blade in there. The engine is kind of far from the compartment to where it won't affect it as much, but seeing how these were made, it doesn't take much. Cool Care spraying could definitely do it as well. So I like to kind of use an air blower to keep the hair out instead of using the blade washes. So here we have the other screw. Right. Just want to place that right there, and then right there on the switch connectors, basically just like that. Oops. See if we can get in there a little better. Alright, that looks like a pretty good position. Let's try that. Alright, so just tightened everything up. The battery should already be charged. Alright, so this is basically what we have here. Alright. So it looks like we're pretty good there. Alright, so I'll just put everything right back on top. Alright, so there it is. It looks like we're good to go. I don't see any smoke or anything coming out of there anymore. Nothing smoking. It's rolling consistent. Look like everything is pretty much good to go. So I made a few changes. Oops. Alright, so put everything back together. And then I noticed that I forgot to put this piece on here. So I'm gonna take it off the old one, so I just kind of pull that off a little bit. Right, then I'll just take these screws back off and then install that, and then everything should be complete with this clipper and ready to use it again. So you never want to cover up that vent. That's how the motor vents itself. You don't want to do that. You actually want to slide it up a little bit to where it passes over that vent, and then right about there. So allow that motor to breathe. And then this keeps a lot of the debris and hair and stuff out from the clipper. So definitely a pretty good installation on that part. So we'll just put everything back. Alright guys, it looks like we're good to go here. Everything's back, my clipper's back, we're working again. I'll keep you guys updated on how it's going. Until Until next time, take care.